Director Carvajal, going to begin with some citations from reports prior to your tenure in leadership and move to the present. July 2014, BOP scored USPA's Correctional Services Department as deficient. Deficiencies included unqualified staff assigned to armed posts, mishandled video footage, failure to conduct rounds, failure to use spectrometers to detect contraband, failure to implement suicide prevention policies. So let's just discuss a few of these. That specific deficiency, unqualified staff assigned to armed posts. Again, unqualified BOP staff assigned to armed posts shows up on the following correctional services audits for US Penitentiary Atlanta. August 2015, December 2015, staff assist visit from November 2016, April 2019, while you are, as you earlier acknowledged, responsible for implementing policies and procedures for correctional services across the country. The October 2021 operational review, and the August 2020 security assessment. In your view, is it okay for a prison to assign unqualified staff to armed posts?
It's unacceptable, Senator.
So why didn't anyone fix this problem? And we can limit the discussion to when you were in senior leadership, April 2019, August 2020, October 2021.
I can't answer why it wasn't fixed. It's unacceptable. That's why we took the action we did. The warden of that facility should have been ensuring that his staff were conducting these follow-ups and making sure policy compliance, and ultimately the responsibility of that regional director who had oversight of that facility should have ensured compliance with those policies. It's unacceptable.
And you were not aware of any of these issues at USPA until last year. That's your testimony, correct?
Correct.
Understood. Let's talk about contraband interdiction efforts. In addition to the July 2014 audit, which found that staff had failed to use spectrometers to detect contraband, numerous other audits, again recognizing some of this is before your tenure in leadership, reported issues with contraband interdiction at the prison, including June 2015, staff not using the ion spectrometry device to test contractors and volunteers entering the prison. November of 16, metal detectors at the facility not maintained or inspected. May 2017, the Special Investigative Services Department was storing drugs, quote, in excess that are not needed as evidence and which could, quote, pose a potential threat to the security of the institution. Now, those were before you assumed supervisory responsibility over BOP's correctional services, or as you put it, responsible for implementation of policies and procedures. I would have expected that that official would have reviewed some of these reports from problematic facilities. That's water under the bridge. Let's talk about while you were in charge. August 2019, Assistant Director for Correctional Programs. Staff member entering the front lobby, setting off metal detectors, front lobby officer waving them through, one ion spectrometry machine broken at the west gate, all contractors entering the facility utilizing the front lobby and never screened. After, at this point, 5.5 consecutive years of reports indicating failures to prevent contraband from entering. January 2020, USPA staff are damaging the ion scan to prevent the device from being used. The machine has not been utilized in over 1 year. So just before you become director of the Bureau of Prisons, staff are, quote, engaged in, quote, purposeful destruction of drug detection equipment. That's 1 month before you became director. Now we continue, August 2020, you're the director. The review team observes multiple USPA staff triggering the metal detector in the front lobby but continuing into the prison unimpeded, allowing for unauthorized items to be introduced into the institution. October 2021, you're the director. Staff not routinely conducting pat searches, no documentation memorializing confiscated contraband. Repeated suicide reconstruction reports at the facility with the most suicides of any prison in the country about how the deceased inmates are high when they kill themselves. Are these acceptable practices for one of your prisons?
No, Senator, they are not acceptable. Precisely why we took the action that we did to cure the obvious cultural breakdown of people not following policy. Contraband interdiction is a daily process that relies on human beings doing their job, conducting searches and following proper rules and procedures. That's the basics of what we do. That's what ultimately led to this breakdown, but it takes leadership to provide oversight and make sure that these things are being done, and that is the ultimate responsibility of that warden, that leadership team, and the responsibility of the regional director to ensure compliance through oversight.
Yeah, respectfully, Director Carvajal, you're continuing to drive responsibility down the chain of command, but my question for you is this. You spend 2 years as the Assistant Director for Correctional Services, in your words, responsible for implementing policy and procedures at the national level. You're then the director of the Bureau of Prisons, and you haven't familiarized yourself with any of this. You are unaware of any issues at USPA Atlanta. It's clearly your most troubled facility. You were ignorant of these problems until the middle of 2021. That's your testimony today.
Senator, things like that, because of the delineation of authority, would normally rise to my level. We have a chain of command and procedures that are followed.
So yes, you were ignorant of this until middle of 2021.
Senator, it was obvious that there was a breakdown, that did not reach my level, and that is why we took the action that we took. There is a delineation of authority, and we trust people. These are senior executive service people at the highest level who have that responsibility. We have very good policies, Senator, when they're followed. The breakdown here is that people consciously chose not to follow the policy. Not always. In those cases where it was a training issue, that's why we focused on training. It is our responsibility to make sure the staff know these policies and train them. It is ultimately the responsibility of every individual to follow those policies, and when people don't, to report misconduct. We have processes for all these things, and they all work very well. It isn't our policies that were broken. It was a failure to follow those policies, and that's why we took the action.
So, Director Carvajal, when in August 2020, the central office under your command conducted a security assessment of US Penitentiary Atlanta and found that it posed, quote, a security risk to the southeast region of the United States, you were not aware of that?
I'm not certain which document you're referring to.
I'm referring to an August 2020 security assessment conducted by the central office under your authority, which found extensive, pervasive security failures and said, quote, US Penitentiary Atlanta is a security threat to the southeastern United States. This was not a routine inspection. This was a security assessment carried out by the central office while you were the director of the Bureau of Prisons. You've testified here today you were unaware of any issues regarding this facility until the middle of 2021. Did you read the security assessment, which identified that one of your facilities was, quote, a security threat to the southeastern United States? Yes or no?
Senator, those reports normally would not rise to my level because
they are
handled at that level of that authority.
Thank you, Director Carvajal. Ranking Member Johnson.